Say when.
So I got that going for me, which is nice.
I have no idea what I'm doing, but I know I'm doing it really, really well.
What am I supposed to do?
There's always barber college.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Steelers Sanctuary Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Ribeiro from SteelersSanctuary.com. I've got my co-host, Bob Quinn, here, and we've got a special guest, Trent Ging. You can find Trent on X at Trent Ging 15. He's also a host of his own podcast, Here We Go podcast. Trent, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Looking forward to talking some ball to you guys.
Nice. Let's start out with some news that we just found out today. The Steelers signed old friend Calvin Anderson today as, I guess, the swing tackle-ish. I was kind of hoping they'd upgrade that a little bit. Then I don't know much about Will Anderson. You know, he didn't get to play much, but
they got to save that money for Wednesday night.
God. We're going to get to Aaron Rodgers in a minute. Also, kind of interesting, Shamar Stewart will come in for a visit. What do you guys think about Shamar Stewart?
He's an intriguing player. I mean, I think he's an intriguing player. He's an edge rusher. I think he's got a ton of talent. I don't know if that should be that high on the board for us. I mean, we've got three really good edge rushers as it is, unless they feel like he's going to maybe bump down inside to be maybe the Cam Hayward replacement eventually. But I think he fits better in our system as an outside guy. So that would kind of raise some eyebrows to me as to whether or not Highsmith's in long-term, plans, or if they're worried about not getting the extension done with TJ Watt for whatever reason. I don't think that's probably going to be the case, but they're taking a look at an edge guy for a reason, right?
He could definitely bulk up and play on the end, right? Defensive end, if they really wanted him to. He's 6'5" and 270-ish, 280. So he can definitely fill that role too. Me and Bob had talked about it on one of our draft podcasts that they've been doing this tweener thing for a couple of years. They tried it with DeMarvin Leal, didn't work out. They tried it last year with Logan Lee. He's still, he had spent the whole season on the IR, so we don't know about him. And now Shamar Stewart, they're infatuated with this tweener thing for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. And Logan Lee's, he's very light too. What he would like 270-ish, right in that ballpark. I mean, they're very similar builds.
He seems better as a 4-3 outside, defensive lineman than a 3-4 guy. So who knows?
Could they be throwing a massive curveball at us with, okay, you bring in a guy like Stewart who, not a ton of production in college, but certainly looks the part. Are they going to throw some kind of weird TJ Watt trade at us right before the draft? And, all of a sudden we do need an edge rusher, but pick up a first this year and next year and maybe a second. You got to wonder why you would really kind of waste, because you just can't see this guy getting out of the first round. And I can't see them saying, if you keep TJ and you keep Alex and Hall of Fame Herbig, I can't see him bringing that guy in to be your fourth guy.
You would break Steelers Twitter if they drafted Shamar Stewart and traded TJ Watt all on the same night. It would just melt. If they brought more edge guys in, I think there might be something to that, but he's the only edge guy they brought in. So I don't know. It's a strange one, but it's worth keeping an eye on anyway.
Do they think he might fall? That could be another thing too.
He could, but not, I don't think, to the third, unless they have a trade down scenario in their head too, where they pick up an extra second somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
That's possible.
I think Shamar Stewart's better suited as a 4-3 end, than he does an outside linebacker in our scheme, and even bulking up. I think there is better options that we haven't seen guys brought in yet that we could have had in for top 30 visits to fill the Cam Hayward role. I just, that one, it is kind of mind boggling to me.
Kenneth Grant, Walter Nolan,
Darius Alexander, if you want to go with a little bit of a smaller guy that, has some explosion and power. I think that guy would be a better fit.
Joshua Farmer's a guy I really like too. I feel like he's more of the defensive tackle in a 3-4 to the defensive end versus the nose. I don't think you're drafting him to put him on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
He was in today too, right? And then Basho too also. Tewin's interesting. I think we talked about him yesterday, Bob. He's super athletic. Kind of a wide zone type of running back that could fit in with the Steelers. Definitely an interesting guy. That's a third, fourth round kind of guy too. So they've done a lot of work on day 2 running backs and day 2 defensive tackles, and not much on day 1 guys at all. I mean, we talked about it in prep today. It's Matthew Golden, it's maybe Iminwere, and that's it for first round talent for their top 30 visits. It's been a strange kind of offseason the way they've approached this.
I think they have 10 left, right? I think they're at 20 of 30. I think they've got 10 left. That you might start seeing some of those falling in line now.
Let's hope so. I mean,
you got to want to see a Marion Hampton at some point. I mean, they brought in a lot of running backs.
Wasn't he on the list at one point and just hasn't?
Yeah, he's supposed to be on the list, but he's not on the list.
Greg Holt says Stewart's 267. Smaller than Lee with 295. He is, but I think he's 6'5", if I'm not mistaken. So he's got plenty of room to fill out and put more weight on if they really wanted to make him a 3-4 defensive end. I suppose it's possible. All right, it would.
You really almost have to put 20 pounds, 30 pounds on him.
Yeah, they like their defensive lineman 300 minimum. So
undersized guys from Texas A&M have not worked out.
Yeah.
Not
really, Al.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Tomlin's got this weird defense in mind that he needs a tweener and he's just waiting to spring it on us at some point. We're all going to be shocked and elated of what this new gimmick he's got, or maybe it's just.
Well, if he's been watching the podcast, and chances are he has, then he knows that we've been saying that they should strongly consider going back to a 4-3. Even though now that TJ's older, you could probably move Highsmith for something. I still think TJ could play the 4-3 end as your pure rusher because he's good against the run. And if you brought in a guy like Stewart, maybe you could do the 4-3 and take some of the load off Cameron Hayward and make him have to just shoot one gap instead of occupy, 2 or 3.
I just don't see that they've been stuck in this for so long. They devoted their personnel to 3-4. I don't.
The only other thing I could say that I could consider on this whole scenario with Stewart being listed at where he is we're not in base very often. I mean, I think 20% of the year we were in base defense. So a lot of times when Alex and TJ are on the field, they are kind of essentially 4-3 ends. So, if you wanted to bring a guy like Stewart in and you kind of accept the fact that the way the game has gone offensively, that these guys are basically playing as 4-3 ends a lot of the time. I mean, maybe that's something they're looking to do is to get a bigger body guy in there, bigger than Highsmith, certainly bigger than TJ. I mean, TJ was, I don't know what his list actually weighs now, but he was like 255, 260. Yeah. So Stewart would at least be a bigger body type for that room.
Yeah, maybe I think it's some hybrid early down. I think New England had it at one point. They call it the elephant, where they'd have a bigger guy on the end and do it that way. Who knows? All right. Yeah. It wouldn't be a Steelers Sanctuary podcast without bringing out Aaron Rodgers and some Aaron Rodgers talk. This is getting very old very quickly. Jeremy Fowler said the Vikings are out. According to Fowler, the Vikings are absolutely out. And according to Rappaport, it's the Steelers or bust. I think his exact quote was, what was it? If it's Aaron Rodgers, if it's any team in 2025, it's the Steelers for Aaron Rodgers. I mean, this is nothing we haven't thought or heard for the last 3 weeks. The question is when. The big night out?
Wednesday? Round what? Round this time maybe, or maybe a little bit later?
Bob, I'll give you credit on this one. You've been saying this for a month, that this is when it was going to happen. We'll see.
I was listening to Muller and Pony before, and I thought Muller had it nailed. Like they're talking. The state, it all goes black. They start playing Renegade, and then just pop up a highlight packet of Rodgers, and then he appears on stage with the Steelers. Terry Bradshaw standing next to him wearing number 12.
Oh boy, are you auditioning for a role on the McAfee show there, as a planner or something?
I mean,
it would be beautiful, but Caboli said today that he didn't think it's going to happen. So who knows?
You got to think Caboli is sworn to secrecy. I mean, if he let that out of the bag and it was planned, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they would let something like that slip. That could be a complete cover, but I'm honestly not surprised this thing strung out as long as it has. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is a different dude. He does things on his own time frames, and he's kind of been like this his entire career. He likes his name in the spotlight, and he's going to keep his name in the headlines as long as possible. So if it happens this week, it happens. If not, I still think the end results he ends up being a Steeler at the end of the day.
It has to be, right? We talked about this the other day. There's no other options.
No.
Where's he going to go and start this year? Besides Pittsburgh, I don't think,
He could go to Tennessee and start. They would sit Cam Ward for 1 year and let him start. Honestly, there's a couple of I really think San Francisco, the longer the Purdy stuff drags on, the longer that may get contentious. That's a thing to keep an eye on, because if they're not sold, and they should be sold, but if they're not sold, that's a place he could maybe go play 1 year while they reorganize their quarterback thought. And, then again, maybe San Francisco is going to be smart, the exact opposite of what the Cowboys did, and realize, hey, kid, you had a nice couple of years, and we're going to give you a lot of money, but we're not giving you $50 million, $60 million like Dallas did with Dak Prescott.
I suppose that's possible. I mean, I always thought it was Minnesota. If J.J. McCarthy was behind on his rehab, that would be a good landing spot for him. But if they're out of the picture, I don't know. I guess San Francisco could be an option, like you said, Purdy, but
has to be a team that looks good. Is
it really his ego? Is this really ego driven, or he's just?
He didn't sign with the Jets till a day or two before the draft when he signed with the Jets.
His contracts have always been drug out forever too. I mean, every time he's negotiated, this always drags on forever with him. And I mean, the only other option is for him to sit and wait until training camp and see who gets hurt. If there's a team that pops up that, there's a guy who's, I don't know. I mean, whoever you want to throw out there, Dak Prescott gets hurt for the season and he thinks that the Dallas Cowboys actually turned into a good team this year. Like maybe he wants to be that guy who takes them there. So he doesn't want to end his career on 5-13 record. I don't think. I mean, I don't think he does, but
yeah. But you get a guy like, let's say Denver, God forbid something happens to Bo Nix or something happens to CJ Stroud, or there are some teams that are ready-made where he can step in. I'm still kind of surprised that he isn't stepping in to an NFC team versus the Steelers, but I'm happy that he's going to play with the Steelers.
We hope. Until I see them sign on the dotted line, I'm going to be skeptical. It's just been such a weird off season.
Absolutely.
We've been talking about Aaron Rodgers since he got released officially. Well, the Jets told him he was going to be released on February 13th. We are now 2 months into this.
And we floated that rumor like a week or two before that.
Yeah.
You and I were, hey, this could happen.
Welcome to the show, Dave.
What's up?
What's going on? All right, that's enough.
You driving Aaron Rodgers to the hotel to get ready for the back of
I wish I could report that, guys, but no, I was.
You didn't see him at the airport?
No.
Dreadlocks?
No, unless he was at a baseball field, I would not have seen him. Ugh.
Knowing Aaron Rodgers, he very well could have been the umpire.
Probably would have done a better job than the one we had today, but that's a whole different story.
All right, you got here just in time to talk some Jalen Milroe. He got invited to the draft. Me and Bob talked about this yesterday, but I figured I'd get everyone's opinion on this. If you're invited to the draft, you're at least going top 40.
This kid is like an annoying gnat that won't fucking go away. He is not a first-round pick.
Oh, he's going to be.
What are we doing here?
He's going to be.
Oh.
And the only team he's been rumored to in the first round is our Pittsburgh Steelers. What Colin Coward reported a week ago, that someone told him, one of the scouts or the front office person told him, the Steelers were going to take him in the first round. And we laughed it off a week ago, and here we are, him getting invited to the draft.
If they
all I'm going to say is what I said last week. Prepare yourselves just in case, because it's not out of the realm of possibility.
I think it would be
Everyone's speechless.
the biggest mistake outside of Kenny Pickett that the franchise would have ever made, because he checks the Kenny Pickett box. He's got small hands. I don't care what the combine says. The first time they measured those hands, they were 8 5/8. I don't know. You cannot grow your hands an inch in a month. You cannot do it. So I just don't. He's not accurate. He's a poor man's Anthony Richardson to me. If we want to be sitting here in 3 years going, well, we haven't won a playoff game, is Mike Tomlin going to go? Here's 5 chances at quarterback. I mean, no, I can't. I cannot fathom us picking Jalen Milroe.
The only reason you would take Jalen Milroe in the first round is if you're making him your starting running back next year, because he is not a quarterback at the next level.
Good point.
Yes.
Well,
correct.
you brought up
Yes.
Anthony Richardson. If he's top 5, then Milroe can be top 30, top 25, right? They're the same guy almost.
Yeah, ask Indy how that's going.
No.
Right.
Yeah, true.
Right. There's no way, guys. They can't. They can't. Can they? They really can't.
Oh, they can.
Would it be the height of hilarity, though, if they did do this and took Milroe and then you bring in Flacco so Flacco can clean up after another?
Just like you did for Richardson. Yes.
For Richardson?
Yeah. That's great.
No, they're going to go with Uncle Aaron for a season and let Milroe sit on the bench and bring him out next year. And who
then
knows
draft
what they're
their
doing on those
quarterback in the
conference.
first round next year, too.
That could possibly.
Might as
We're
well.
going to go through this all over again next year. Guaranteed.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
next year it's the quarterback, hopefully. Sorry, Trent.
No, that's not, I was just gonna say. I mean, maybe we're just gonna start throwing like darts at the wall at quarterbacks, and we're just gonna take a quarterback in every round of every draft until one of them hits. Like, I mean, I don't know where else we're going with this, because Milroe is not going to be the guy. Like, I think it was it the Michigan game? I'm like watching that game, and he's just god awful. I mean, he could not hit a single receiver in stride the whole game. He hits a deep ball here and there, and everybody gets all excited, but like, he's so wildly inaccurate, and he's not polished as a player, even remotely close. He's a 4-year project at the next level.
Yeah.
Like, you're not taking that guy to start this year even, so you still need, I mean, you basically handing the keys to the kingdom to Mason Rudolph right now.
I wouldn't take him to start 6 years from now.
No.
Well, if you really, the one thing I will say, if you really were dedicated to it, and unfortunately Rodgers is a little too old, but let's just say you could get 2, maybe 3 years out of Aaron Rodgers, and you were going to Jordan Love project it, because remember, Jordan Love, we forget, every time we saw him until it was time to really see him, he wasn't very good. And maybe a guy like Milroe, if he sat behind a guy, but the problem is you don't got LaFleur developing him. You got, Mike Tomlin developing him. I mean,
Not
for
great.
the kid's sake, you almost hope he goes somewhere else.
And like we talked about before, if you're going to draft a guy like this, then you can't have Mason around, because you need all the snaps you can get from Milroe from now until 3 years or whenever he's ready. You can't be splitting up snaps in preseason and training camp 3-4 ways. If you're going to draft a developmental quarterback, I can't talk, then you're going to get him snaps in preseason and in training camp. So I don't know.
I don't think the Milroe thing going to the draft is based on Pittsburgh. I'm telling you, I really think somebody's trading back into the first round to take him. It's the Giants. It's the Browns. Maybe somebody like that is going to trade back into the first round to go get him. I think he's going to fall down towards 26, 27. Somebody comes back into the first round to get him, and maybe that's where the invite's coming from. But I mean, I know Pittsburgh's showing interest, but I just can't see the way we've approached the offseason. I have serious questions about Marcon if that's their strategy, and we've done the offseason the way we've done the offseason.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with New York talk radio. It can be a little aggressive. And if the Giants passed on Shador and traded back into the first round and took Milroe, there might be an actual riot in New York.
Well, Pauline even said today that they need to win now, and he's right. The coach and the general manager for the Giants cannot start a new project and survive and have a bad season. They're going to get fired. So they need they're praying that Russell Wilson saves them, which good luck to them. But
don't forget the savior on the bench. Jameis
is coming in.
Oh my God.
No.
Think about that. Your job's on the line, and you've got Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston as your quarterbacks. God
I'd
help
go
him.
with Jameis, to be honest with you. I think him and Malik Neighbors might actually be magic.
Could be. Daniel Jeremiah had today that he thinks the Browns are going to take Travis Hunter, trade back in the first round and get Milroe, and have both of them. So we'll see if that.
Yeah.
Please. How can we make a bigger mistake than Deshaun Watson? Replace him with Anthony Richardson.
I wouldn't put it past them. That's what they do. They make mistakes, including Browns.
Well, luckily, they have Kenny Pickett to even out.
Oh, I know, and they're going to change him. Yeah, I saw that the other day too.
We're almost at the point where we can't throw stones about other people's quarterbacks for a while. We got to keep quiet because we haven't had exactly the greatest.
Yeah, but to take our trash and then act like you're going to fix it when you haven't fixed anything for 30 years. Yeah. Just no. Don't say that.
Well,
you don't say that.
Armin's their big morning guy, like big personality. And I just remember writing an article for Steelers Nation a couple of years ago where he was just brutal about Kenny Pickett. Said that Bubby Brister was better than Kenny Pickett.
He was.
Jeez.
Turns out he might be right, but
yeah.
I mean, I think it's the height of hilarity that he now has to stomach watching that guy start for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe. They could just turn around and draft Shador and make him a starter. We'll see.
Yeah.
Nothing's set in stone yet, although it seems like they've made up their mind and passed on him, and the Giants too. So he's going to be an interesting case study for this draft. Trent and I were talking about this before we got on. He could slide. If the Saints don't grab him at 9, he's going on a long ride, and who knows where he might end up. It's perfect for the Steelers because they could shop that pick. Shador Sanders is coming up. Come give us your best offer, and we'll trade out. Would you consider Shador Sanders at 21?
Depends on the board.
I would. I don't. I'm not a fan of his. I know Bob's a fan, but I'm not.
Depends on the board.
If you're at 21 and you're really considering quarterback, and the second best quarterback in the draft slides to you, then you have to do it. I think at that point you dangle the trade chip, and if you get a decent trade. But if you're really seriously considering Jackson Dart or Jalen Milroe, then you got to pick Shador Sanders if he's there because he's better than both of those guys.
I was going to say, Dave, I think you kind of have a different opinion there.
I told you I'm not getting baited into the Jackson Dart Shador Sanders fight anymore.
We've
done it too many times.
But Bob tries it every podcast, every episode.
Trent, you want to weigh in on this? I might throw it a sword from talking about
Trent,
this.
Trent, just so you understand, every episode, Bob will start talking quarterbacks. His first comment is, Dart sucks. And it's like, oh. And then Dave.
I don't say he sucks. I say he comes from a system that has never produced a NFL quarterback.
Bob tries to trigger Dave like every time with this.
I have been drugged through the mud for my takes on Jackson Dart. I do not think Jackson Dart's an NFL quarterback. I think he is in the same sphere as Kenny Pickett.
Oh.
I mean, so he's more athletic. He's a very good leader. I think he's very tough. Probably a slightly better arm than Pickett had. I actually think Pickett was much more accurate coming out of college than Jackson Dart. And Jackson Dart is in a very one-read offense, and a lot of his big plays are just bust coverages downfield because of the style of offense that they run. And even if you watch a lot of the film, like the receivers are not hitting stride. They're slowing down, catching the ball, and then taking back off. And there's just so much room between them and the DB that it still becomes a touchdown. I am not a Jackson Dart guy.
Hurting my feelings.
Like, man, I'm not a – yes.
Trent, congratulations. Our hashtag guys got you. In the hashtag for the first time.
This is great.
I've been blasted for my Jackson Dart takes, and I'll own it. If he turns out to be a good quarterback, good for him. But I don't think he's going to be a guy. I think he's going to be a really good backup.
I see more people not liking Jackson Dart than liking him. I think some of the national guys like Jackson Dart. We've seen some of that, but in Pittsburgh, it's like they're all in the Bob train and your train now, I guess, too.
I would definitely – I think he's a third-round quarterback. That's kind of where I've kind of had him for a while now. I think he's going to be way overdrafted no matter where he goes. Which
in a normal draft, he probably would be. But in this draft, he's going to be a first-round guy. Or another top 40 guy. I think
Trent,
it's
what do
pretty
you
clear.
think of Shuck?
He might be the most pro-ready guy outside of Cam Ward, but he's just that injury history is just atrocious. Like it's
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, no doubt.
He definitely.
Yeah.
Most people think he's the most ready to start. Well, he's 25. He's been playing for 7 years, so
Yes.
he should be ready. But
Yeah.
yeah, he seems to be the most. Some people say he's got the best arm in the class too, and,
Mhm.
and he's 6'5", so he's definitely got the best size of any of these quarterbacks.
I like him. I just like him on day 3. That's where I'm at.
He's probably going to go way higher than he needs to too,
Yeah.
because of this class. Like he's probably going to go in the second round. I mean, there's been some, depending on what network you listen to, some people are talking about him sliding into the back end of the first round. Like, it's just kind of the way this draft is going to fall with these quarterbacks.
It's just insane.
They say Arthur Smith likes him a lot. I've heard that a couple times. Arthur Smith's really high on him.
I think they've talked to him 3 times now.
Yeah,
they talked to him at his pro day. Were they at Louisville pro day?
I think not Con and
not
Tomlin. Somebody must.
Some one of the maybe Arth was Arth there. I think somebody was at his pro day, and I know they talked to him at the Senior Bowl. I talked to one of the reporters that was there, said they talked to him a good bit at the Senior Bowl, and then I thought they talked to him at the Combine too as an official visit.
I believe there was 2, or maybe 3. It's Milroe, Dart, and Shuck. They talked at the Senior Bowl, the Combine, and either their pro day or they're coming in for a visit. So there's like all 3 of those guys. They've done a lot of work on all 3.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll
I have
to
the
see.
list. I'm trying to find Louisville.
It's Senior Bowl and top 30. Sorry, it was the Senior Bowl and top 30 visit for Tyler Shuck.
Louisville, Director of College Scouting Dan Colbert was there.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing about Shuck you kind of hear is the same thing with Dart. Good leader, solid citizen. He's filing for Social Security in 2 years. He ought to be a damn good citizen.
Milroe fits in that category too. Team leader, real likable guy. I could see Tomlin falling in love with this guy. I really can. I know.
You know who
wants to hear
didn't
this,
fit the
but-
team leader category? Ben Roethlisberger.
Well,
I think I'd rather have him.
that ship has sailed, my friend.
If you're evaluating quarterback and team leader is the first thing that comes out of your mouth, the guy's probably not very good.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, he's a team leader. He couldn't hit the side of a barn, but he's
a hard worker. He shows up.
That damn guy watches a ton of film, but can't throw it. But he watches the shit out of that film.
He will not complain when you throw the halfback toss 88 times.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Jesus
Arthur
Christ.
Smith will love that guy. Taylor made for our offense. You kidding me?
Yeah.
Relics likes McCord apparently.
I'm going to Ohio State. No.
You got an Ohio State.
I would direct him to the Pitt game when he was at Syracuse, and then you'll change your mind real quickly.
Damn.
Like 4 pick sixes in one game.
Yeah. I remember that game. You're right.
Legit. It was 4 pick sixes in one game.
Yeah, you're right. I remember that
Oh,
game.
God.
Damn.
One thing I will say, and this will be out at noon tomorrow, Dave and I talked with Tony Pauline today, and what he said about McCord was that there was progression, and he's kind of a one read, slow to get off his first read, better than he was at Ohio State, but still a work in progress. And reminder, Jordan Palmer said he's the best quarterback in the draft, and that guy makes a living, evaluating and coaching quarterbacks. So,
You get a kickback on the next contract.
yeah, if you get McCord in the 4th or 5th round, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, because you're taking a flyer. If he hits, he hits. If he doesn't, bye. We don't need you.
Yeah, if we're talking 5th, 6th quarterback in this class, we're in trouble.
Well,
I mean, that's not.
As long as they're taking the right value with these quarterbacks, that's all I ask.
Yeah,
It's just
problem
ridiculous
is-
how they've pumped all these guys up to the first round that are not first round value at all.
Well, I know he actually, Tony had thought he might jump all the way into the 3rd, which that's
Who,
the
McCord?
first time I've heard that.
Yeah,
That's the first time I heard
yeah.
that was today.
Forget it. That's
Why?
too early for him.
Why? If you draft him, you get the quarterback coach with him?
Oh, he thinks a lot of quarterbacks are
Like,
going to go.
I think it's only 3 in the first round. It's Sanders and Ward and whoever out of Dart,
Milroe, or whoever that some idiotic team.
one of
wants
those
to take
3.
a chance
Yeah,
on.
somebody
Yeah.
trades up, and then we wait till the second round for the rest of the guys to fall. I don't see any more than 3. I'd be surprised.
Trent brought up an interesting name in prep, who's a guy who, I mean, and again, guy you probably get in the 4th round who was a 1st-round pick before the season started, Quinn Ewers.
That's a guy I would take a flyer on in the later rounds. Big time high school prospect. Starter at Texas the whole time, played hurt this year. Was still, made the college playoff and had a run. That's a guy I would take a flyer on.
The arm talent's there. For me, I think the arm talent's there. He's just very inconsistent.
I was gonna say not Golden, but the other wide receiver. I'm trying to remember his name. They said that what was it? Bond. There, Isaiah Bond. Like they said that his low stats were due to bad quarterback play. So I was just like, ooh, that's not a good look for Ewers. I was like, I don't know.
Was it him who said that? Because he's a great player. Just ask him; he'll tell you.
Yeah, he's the one that said he was going to break the combine record for the 40 time. And
I still can't believe that kid said that. That was stupid.
ran
But
the
whatever.
floor, something like that. All right, Bob, you want to do our top 5s at these positions?
Yeah, let's talk a little draft. All right, so first one we're going to go is defensive tackle.
Oh.
And we'll let David justify his list first because he's the most prepared.
I got you.
Yeah, no. Like I said, I went with Mason Graham first. I think he's going to be what, top 10 in this draft, top 15,
Top 5.
Oh, is it top 5? Okay, yeah.
Some people say top 5.
I got a little scouting report on him here. Explosive first step paired with wrestling honed leverage allows him to consistently split double teams and reset the line of scrimmage in the run game. As soon as I saw wrestling, I was like, oh man, like that there is a good thing. Shows rare lateral agility for a 320-pounder, displaying the change of direction skills to strike out zone runs and chase down screens. Love to hear that. And then brings a nasty demeanor to the trenches with relentless motor that wears down interior offensive linemen over 4 quarters. I mean, that right there to me, nasty demeanor right there in the trenches. I mean, a guy that does not stop. We need that shit bad. So no, that's my first guy. We going 1-1-1, or are we just going to go down through all of them?
No, you do your list, and then we'll do our list.
Do the whole list? So I went back and forth between Grant and Nolan. I originally had Nolan number 2, and then I thought about it, and I was like, no, I'm going to go with Grant. So the scouting report on Grant, athletic freak, made Bruce Feldman's freak list at number 46 in 2022. He wrote, at 6'4", 360 pounds, he ran a sub 540. Jim Harbaugh told The Athletic, Ben Herbert, the UM strength coach, who has trained more than his share of freaks, said Grant has incredible traits and is likely to be the number 1 freak down the line if he applies himself. He developed a pass rush repertoire, including a swim, rip, club, and spin move. Doesn't rely solely on the bull rush despite power advantage, which is a big deal. If you already have those many different moves developed, that's awesome. 3 years against high-level production against elite competition, proven performer. Didn't they say that Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis was a freak in their drafts?
Yeah.
Oh,
Jalen Carter especially, but that's rarefied air. Jalen Carter,
dude.
He's
but when I hear the same verbiage being used with Grant, just like them, that really gets my attention. So, and the reason why though, that's why I went with him ahead of Nolan. The reason why I contemplated going with Nolan is because a part of his scouting report here is that he's a versatile defender who can align anywhere from 0 to 5 technique. And I've really thought about, Bob, what you've said about how drafting a guy to only use him on, the first 2 downs and then he comes off the field. But this guy could be utilized as a 5 technique as opposed to the 0, that then you could actually use him more. So that was the reason why I thought about going with Nolan second, but I didn't because of the fact of just hearing the things described for Grant sounds like those guys the Eagles got on their D-line. So that was why I went ahead and changed it to Grant second. Fourth, I went with Derek Harmon. His scouting report displays thunderous hands that enable him to consistently win the leverage battle at the point of attack. Developed a devastating rip move that, combined with his length, gives him 3-down potential. Again, a 3-down guy got my attention. Showed repeatedly against UCLA's veteran offensive line. Shows some real dog in him when teams try to reach the block. Will fight through contact to maintain gap integrity while working down the line. Gap integrity is a huge thing, a huge issue we've had this past season.
Yeah.
Hearing this kind of stuff, I like to hear that kind of stuff. Sorry if you're hearing my dog bark. My son just got home. Perfect timing. My number 5 guy, I went with Tyler Williams. And the reason why, scouting report made Bruce Feldman's freak list. Ranked number 66. He wrote, at 6'6", the 270-pound Zach Harrison, the Ohio State guy that was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons, he ran a 10.7 over 100 meters. But Williams did a 10-yard split of 1.62 seconds, which is an amazing thing for a 300-pound man to be able to do. Brings legitimate scheme versatility with experience at multiple techniques, can two-gap or penetrate based on assignment, a big thing that I like to hear. Brings an alpha dog mentality to the interior plays with visible nastiness and seeks physically dominating his opponents. I love hearing that kind of shit. I want the trenches. I want these guys to be nasty, dominant. To me, that's why I went with those 5.
Nice.
Gotcha. All right, so let's do my list. I have Kenneth Grant as the best defensive line prospect in the draft. I am not as high on Mason Graham as a lot of people are. I do think he's a first-round player. I think he's a 4-3 defensive tackle. He's a high floor, low ceiling kind of guy. You're probably going to get a starter for 7 to 10 years in the NFL. I question whether he'd ever be an all-pro, Pro Bowl type of guy. Grant and Nolan are my 1 and 2. I know some people think Grant, he does have pass moves that he could develop into a 3-4 defensive end, and it is possible, but he's more of a true nose. He's a 1 or 2 player. When you compare him to a guy like Jalen Carter, I think that's a bad comparison, but Jordan Davis, I think, is ideal. Davis is a 1 to 2 down guy. Maybe Grant takes off 10 pounds and becomes an every down player at the next level, but right now I don't see it, especially in nickel packages. Although, I mean, it's not beyond the realm of possibility he could do that and maybe challenge Keanu Benton or become Keanu Benton and Kenneth Grant going forward. It worked pretty well with Stephon Tuitt, who was more of a deep inside guy. So maybe. Walter Nolan is he's your more polished guy. He can play everywhere, so you're getting a little more versatility. Guy I love, Joshua Farmer, who I don't think will get out of the second round. When we talked today with Tony Pauline, he thinks he might be around in the third. I really like Joshua Farmer's game, and I meant to bring this up when we were talking to him, but I forgot. FSU prospects who show out at the combine and the Senior Bowl and things like that are notorious for being much better in the pros than they were in college. I don't know what's happened at FSU's coaching staff, but really since Bobby Bowden left, FSU players underachieve in college. They overachieve at the NFL level. And Darius Alexander is a guy I like. He's a guy who I also think won't be around in the third round. I think 21 might be a little too high, but if you trade back, maybe get an early second, that's a guy who I do think you could get.
All right, so number 1 on my list was also Mason Graham. I mean, really, the only knock on Mason Graham is he came in pretty light at the combine. He was not near. I mean, he was listed at like 313, I think, at Michigan, and he came in at like 290 or something. It was pretty light at the combine official weigh-in. But that dude's got an incredible motor. And Kenneth Grant, I think the only thing keeping Kenneth Grant from being number 1, quite honestly, is that his motor isn't at the same level of Mason Graham. I think that's the big knock on him. He has all the talent in the world. If he was there at 21, I still think he's the guy Pittsburgh should draft because I think he can be a 3-down player at the next level. And I think he moves into the nose, and I really want Benton to move outside and more of a 3-tech instead of the 1-tech. So I think it would help us out a ton. Walter Nolan is my next guy. He's another guy that's got kind of a motor issue, but his talent is ridiculous. Like, he might turn out to be the best guy in this entire draft at the defensive line position. It's just a matter of whether or not that guy puts it all together. He's super young, 21 and a half years old. So he's a guy that I think could develop at the next level. Derek Harmon is probably a little underrated, in my opinion, in this draft class. I mean, he moved from Michigan State where, let's be honest, a lot of guys kind of get lost in the shuffle playing for Michigan State because they're not always that relevant. Went out to Oregon. I thought he had a fantastic year. I mean, the first game he played against Ohio State. He really dominated the defensive line almost all game. I mean, he stood out right away without watching the game back. So he's going to be a fine pro. And I think Darius Alexander is just super underrated because he's from Toledo. He might be the best pass rusher of the group. Quite honestly, he's definitely going to be a guy who can give you some pass rush from the defensive line position. Little undersized, but I think if you're taking him as a guy you want to rush the passer on third downs. But yeah,
nice. Oh, I'm crawling into the position here.
Yeah.
All right, I went with Mason Graham, number 1 overall too. Like Trent said, good motor. I haven't spent a ton of time watching him because I don't think the Steelers have a prayer of even sniffing him. So he's been the consensus number 1 guy pretty much from the get-go. I like Walter Nolan a lot. I think, I heard a lot of teams were disappointed he didn't work out at either the Combine or his pro day. I think it was there's some questions about his character too going on there, but he is super talented, and I would love the Steelers to take him at 21. I'd be super happy. Kenneth Grant, everyone's talked about him. He's a big guy. I think he could play defensive end at some point. I think he's got that kind of ability. It's just his motor was a question sometimes. Taking plays off, him and Walter Nolan both have that kind of stigma with them. I agree with Trent with Darius Alexander too. I think he's underrated, one of the best defensive line prospects in this draft. I think he's going to be one of the best pass rushers. I agree. And Derek Harmon, guys, once these prospects are outside the west of the Mississippi, you can cross them off the Steelers list most of the time. Futano was the exception to the rule. They don't even send people out to the West Coast. I think he is talented. I think he would be a good consolation prize, but I'd be shocked if he was the Steelers pick at 21.
Absolutely. All right. So if the wide receiver slide will cooperate, there we go. All right. So I'm going to lead it off here. No secret. Matthew Golden's the fastest wide receiver. I think he's the most polished wide receiver. He also fits what the Steelers like to do. The second guy, if you follow me at all in my mock drafts, I was on Jaden Higgins from this time this season ended. I said he was be a great pick in the third, then a great pick in the second, and now he's going to be a great pick in the first because somebody is taking this kid in the first round. Would I love it if it was the Steelers? Yes, I would love a 6'4" possession who's got better speed than you think guy to pair. We would have we'd look like a basketball team at the wide receiver core. I mean, even if, we ended up having Mason Rudolph in there, he'd be able to see these guys, throw to these guys. Really happy with Jaden Higgins. I think really happy for the kid to get to the first round. McMillan was the consensus number 1 coming in. And frankly, I don't know that he's done anything to fall other than just kind of not work out and just be, hey, I'm still here, but he doesn't fit what the Steelers need. He doesn't. Even if he was there, I could have a hard time picking him unless you traded Pickens. This is a little bit surprised. We've talked about this guy a little bit, and I actually went back and watched his tape again to say, okay, what am I missing? And I sort of get it. I like big receivers, and this guy can be a bigger body, and I think he can play the slot. So Alec Ayamanor, I think he's a sneaky second round guy, but I also think again this is a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 draft. Golden has kind of elite slot potential. McMillan could be a low end number 1. That Stanford kid, I think he could be a high end number 2. And then Luther Burden III. I mean, who knows? George Pickens, he could be George Pickens' talent, but he's got George Pickens' head, so he'll probably end up being a Steeler if he's there.
Yeah, for me, I thought my obvious choice was Travis Hunter. Ran a 4.40, just missed running in the 4.3s. The scouting report I have on him as he possesses otherworldly body control and ball tracking ability, routinely adjusts to off-target throws, and contorts midair to make spectacular catches look routine. Shows exceptional spatial awareness against zone coverage, finds soft spots with precision timing that speaks to his defensive background, understanding of leverage. Creates immediate separation with explosive first step quickness and displays multiple release techniques to defeat press coverage at the line. The only reason why I put him ahead of Matthew Golden was the fact that he also has played defense and he knows defensive schemes and what they might be trying to do out there. And I think that kind of gives him an advantage. That was the only reason why I put him ahead of Matthew Golden. And Matthew Golden, getting to him right off the bat, a 4.29 40 guy is just a blazer, man. The scouting report, absolute burner who hits top gear in a flash. Defenders caught flat-footed against his vertical routes. Learn a painful lesson about respecting his speed. Shows advanced understanding of route tempo, masterfully changing speeds to set up breaks and create separation against both man and zone. That's a big deal to me. Explosive playmaker after the catch with vision and acceleration of a kick returner. Turns routine catches into chunk plays. You're going to notice all my guys, they ran a sub 4.45 or less. And most of them have that kick returner, punt returner extra that they bring with them that the Steelers, in my opinion, desperately need. So getting to my third guy, Luther Burden, ran a 4.41 40. Elite yards after the catch weapon, combining vision, contact balance, and lateral agility to turn quick hits into chunk plays. Brings serious juice as a punt returner with natural instincts and acceleration to hit creases before they close. Shows real dog mentality as a blocker, which is a big deal with Arthur Smith, sustaining blocks and bringing physicality that teammates feed off of. So that to me, with him, Arthur Smith would love that to have that kind of guy out there. Number 4, I went with Emeka Egbuka, ran a 4.45 40. Rare combination of elite long speed and technical route running acumen, regularly stressing defensive leverage at 3 levels of the field, electric after the catch, combining track speed with vision and instincts honed in the return game. Immediate special teams contributor, another one, with proven production as both punt and kick returner, which would be huge for the Steelers if they did draft him. And finally, number 5, Jalen Noel, a 4.39 40. Footwork is pure artistry at the line. Can dead leg corners into cement shoes with his release package, creating immediate separation from press. Accelerate like he's got afterburners. 0 to 60 burst allows him to hit top speed in a blink and separate through his breaks. Special teams value multiplies his worth, averaging 15.3 yards per punt return, and has proven return ability that will translate immediately to Sundays. Sounds good to me. So that's my 5. And I like I said, 4 out of those 5 will immediately contribute on special teams, which is something I think they desperately need, guys.
Noel had a ridiculous combine too.
Yeah. I just really like the kid. I really do.
All right, my top 5. Full disclosure, I probably would have had Travis Hunter up near the top, but I just think of him as he's going to be a cornerback, I think, in the NFL and play wide receiver once in a while and not necessarily be the other way around. But if we're being honest, he's one of the best wide receivers in this class. Matthew Golden, the 40 time, the route running, the 40 time just sealed it for me. I think he was close to being my best wide receiver going into this, and then after that, it just put him over the top for me. Bob, this is going to make you happy. Jaden Higgins, the more I watch him, the more I see other guys, I really like Jaden Higgins a lot. He's big, fast, everything you want. Pretty good route runner. I like Jaden Higgins. Luther Burden, man, if this guy, his 2023 tape was much better than 2024. Some people blame the quarterback play at Missouri. Some people blame him taking some plays off. Super talented guy, a little bit of issues. It sounds like a Steeler to me. He could definitely be a Pittsburgh Steeler by the time this is all said and done. Emeka Egbuka, same thing. Good route runner. He ran that 4.45. That checked the box. People were concerned if he was going to run fast or not. The first scouting report I've read of him is excellent blocker. And I said, "Oh, that's a Steeler. That's an Ivy Smith guy all the way." But he's got the
hear about a receiver.
Yeah, he's got the athleticism to go along with that too. So that'd be a solid. He's one of the cleanest prospects in this draft. Good guy, everything perfect. And I just threw Dante Thornton in here just to talk about him. I don't know if he's necessarily the 5th best wide receiver, but man, I watched his tape and I just love this kid. He's limited as a route runner. He's just a go ball type of guy, but man, 6'5", 4.3 speed, Dave, you'll like this. He reminds me a little bit of Martavis Bryant. So he's got a soft spot in my heart. Later round pick, third, fourth round guy. Take a flower in this guy. He's fun.
You love you some Martavis. There's no doubt.
Yep, so give me a clone of his and I'll be happy.
Absolutely.
All right, so I thought I was going to be in the consensus on this, but I'm apparently in the minority. I got Tet McMillan as the top receiver of the class. I think his body control is ridiculous. He has a great catch radius. 4.55 is the reported time. I don't know. I mean, if that's what it is, that's fine for a guy who's a true X receiver. Emeka Egbuka, I actually have his number 2. So I am not as high on Matthew Golden as most people are. I think Emeka Egbuka is like, his ceiling is wide receiver 2. So he may not have the same ceiling that Matthew Golden does, but his floor is also wide receiver 2. Like he is like as sure a thing as anybody else in the class. He's a route running technician. I mean, he's like as team first kind of guy as you're ever going to find. I love Emeka Egbuka. It's not just the Ohio State thing coming out. I just like the way he plays the game, man. He's just a freaking good athlete.
The Ohio State thing helps though, right?
It did help. It helped a little. Matthew Golden, man, I think this guy's either going to be possibly the best receiver in this class or a complete bust. Like he has all of the physical tools, like everything is there. But when you start hearing like guys taking plays off at wide receiver, reminds me of too frequently of, George Pickens and what we've seen with him. And like, you wonder if those guys ever get to their true ability. And that's where I'm at with Matthew Golden. Like everything's there, complete burner. I mean, that 40 times speaks for itself, man. He's a solid route runner too. Great with the ball in his hands. But when you're taking plays off because you're mad at your quarterback, that's I'm knocking you down a peg in my rankings. Jaden Higgins, man, I thought I was going to be the only guy who had him on the list today, so I'm glad to see I'm not. Jaden Higgins is a guy who, for his size, he's extremely fluid. He would be a true X receiver, which would be a lot of fun. I think the only reason we would take him is if you're going to trade George Pickens, maybe to try to recoup a second-round pick. But if you pair him up with DK Metcalf, man, that's a scary duo on the outside of two really big guys. And Higgins is a better route runner than I think people give him credit for. So I actually like him a lot. And 5, this is another boomer bust guy for me. Trey Harris, man, he's got all of the physical tools. Again, he comes from that offense we talked about with the Jackson Dart stuff. But he got open, man. And when he has the ball in his hands, he's dangerous. So he's another guy that I think could be – Noel, actually, quite honestly, he was another guy I was considering at the number 5 spot. So I was glad David put him on there. But Trey Harris is another guy that should be interesting. I don't love the drops with him as much as some of these other guys are.
Yeah, I think Jaden Higgins, his 40 time was what, a 4.47 or 4.48?
He's listed at 4.47. Yeah.
Yeah, he probably would have been my 6th guy. Like I like him too.
Yeah, 4.47.
Yeah, the one thing to remember about that kid is 6'4". He runs routes like he's 6'1", 6'2". He has exceptional hands. To me, it's still the best hands in the class. And if you pair the hands, the only thing he's got to work on, like if you brought him to the Steelers and you kept Pickens, he's going to be your slot guy, which I don't think is a bad thing, having a huge slot guy, because it's just another reason why they should throw the ball over the middle, because him and Freiermuth could really eat in there. But he's not great at run after the catch. Something he could get good at, but you've got to hit him on the run. If he stops to catch the ball, he's not going far. But if you get him on the run, he's got a little bit of ability. But that's my only real knock on Higgins, is I don't think he has
not really a yak
elite
guy.
running catch guy.
Can I add something to that too? Because like I keep hearing when I talk about the Steelers still possibly drafting wide receiver in the first round, I hear, but we just took Roman Wilson. I don't care. If you can get an upgrade at a position, why the hell are you worried about a 3rd-round receiver who didn't even play this year? Like, you don't even know what that kid is.
Who couldn't learn the playbook.
Are you aware that there's a moving train in Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. He has trouble getting on the moving train. There's a rumor it's still moving. It's still moving.
I'm all about adding another wide receiver, but why not?
Yeah.
I'd be over the moon if they did.
Right.
Especially if you bring in Rodgers, like, because you're going to go in on one season, like, so
exactly.
Upgrade anywhere you can upgrade.
Absolutely.
All right, we're on running backs. Ashton Genty is the consensus number one running back. I don't know what more you could say about him. Bob's a little worried about his fumbles, but I'm not. I think this guy's going to be a really, really good
I'm also
running
worried
back in this
about
league.
his time he spends at the buffet too. But,
You're not. Here we go again. You're not baiting me into that one either. Marion Hampton is second on my list. I think he's very, very good. We've talked about him so much. I think we're beating a dead horse. I would love the Steelers to take him at 21. I couldn't decide between Trevion Henderson and Quishon Judkins, except Henderson's the big home run hitting guy, and I think the Steelers offense really, really needs that. To put him in this offense would really, really help. Pair him up with Jalen Warren, and that would be an excellent backfield. The more I watch Judkins, though, and watch him run over guys, and he's still got that speed and athleticism, he screams Steelers guy. This is the quintessential Steelers back, tough, fast, physical. And my sleeper guy, I love DJ Giddens. The first time I put on his tape, this guy like dodges people in a phone booth. He's just quick cuts. He ran 4.4, so he's still got the speed. He's got the size. I'd be so happy if the Steelers took DJ Giddens in the third round. That would make my day. I've gone on and on and on about DJ Giddens. I'm not going to bore you anymore. But that's my top 5 running backs, guys.
All right, Genty. Yeah, everybody talks about him being like this generational prospect, so he's of course going to be the first on this list. Amarion Hampton is a guy who probably is in consideration as a top running back in just about any other class. He had a great production considering where he was playing at this year, and everybody knew where the ball was going, and he still produced. So that says a lot about him. The Trevion and Quinshon thing, I kind of went like in the same direction as Dave. Trevion is the home run hitter, and I think that brings value at the next level. You just can't find guys that when you put the ball in their hands and they have an inch of space that you just hold your breath. It's kind of who he is. He's probably not going to be a guy that's going to get 25 carries a game, but you don't need to get 25. You get him 15 touches, and he can turn one of those into 6 real quick. Quinshon Judkins is more of the workhorse back. So I think really between the two of them, you could flip a coin and just whatever your team's looking for. If you're looking for the consistent guy who's going to drive out 5 yards a carry, Quinshon's probably your guy. Trevion might not be. Contact balance for Trevion's not quite as good as Quinshon. So it's just what you're looking for between the two guys. Both great players, though. And then I actually put Caleb Johnson. I know the 40 times sucked. But if we're looking at Pittsburgh Steelers related stuff, you're not going to find a guy who can run the zone better than Caleb Johnson in this draft class. Devin Neal might be another guy you could talk about in that category, but like Caleb Johnson's your guy. Big buy back too.
All right, David.
Yeah. Basically, guys, what I'm looking for is home run hitters, the guys that can take it to the house at any given moment. That is something the Steelers have been hurting so bad at. Obviously, right off the bat, I went with Ashton Genty as well. NFL.com, with all their scouts combined, rated him the highest graded overall prospect in the entire draft, which I didn't realize, with a score of 7.15. I'm trying to remember the last time I saw a prospect get ranked in the 7s on NFL.com. I was just like, wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know they had him ranked that high. So that was really something that jumped out to me. Had a 40 time. I have on here a 40 time of 4.42. I'm not sure when he ran this because I didn't think he did it at his pro day. But on Draft Buzz, they have one on record of a 4.42. So not quite the 4.3 like people were, hoping to see from him, but a 4.42 is nothing to sneeze at either. But the scouting report, elite contact balance, sheds tackles with ease, and maintains momentum through traffic, elite vision anticipation, consistently finds and exploits gaps before they fully materialize. Rare combination of burst and long speed, can take any touch to the house from anywhere on the field, which is exactly what I want to hear. Number 2 is Marion Hampton. I really like both him and Genty. I could go either or and would be happy with either for the Steelers. 4.46 40 time. Scouting report on him is a violent finisher who consistently falls forward through contact, showing exceptional leg drive and core strength to push pals on extra 2 to 3 yards after initial impact, which is awesome. Elite burst when hitting the hole, accelerating from 0 to full speed in 2 steps with explosive hip drive and powerful leg churn. And in number 3, I went with Dylan Sampson. a 4.42 40 time, another good 40 time. Exceptional burst through the hole with rare second gear acceleration that turns modest creases into chunk plays. This kid was clocked at running 22 to 23 miles per hour in games. That's fast. Creates yards beyond blocking with nasty jump cuts and a devastating spin move. Reminds me of Saquon Barkley in that spot. And that regularly leaves defenders grasping at air, which is literally what Saquon Barkley does. Number 4, I went with Trevion Henderson. I went with him over Judkins because of the 4.43 speed. Possesses elite acceleration that turns small creases into home runs. Love hearing that. His burst through the hole might be the best in this class based on multiple games. Natural pass protector who squares up and anchors with surprising power for his size. Consistently stonewalling blitzers in one-on-one situations. We know that they love their halfbacks to be able to block. Number 5, I like this kid, Rochelle Tootin. He is fast as fuck, a 4.32 40, explosive accelerator who can hit top gear in a hurry, evidenced by his blistering 4.32 40 time that puts him in elite company for the position. Then I saw this part too, a natural hands catcher who tracks the ball smoothly and shows impressive body control when adjusting to throws outside his frame. So it sounds like he would be a weapon in the passing game too. And as soon as I read that, I was like, yeah, I got to make this guy my 5. Probably 6 would have been Judkins. I like him too. Just he's not the home run hitter like Henderson is. So, but yeah, that's my top 5.
Okay. All right, so I'm the only guy who's got Hampton over Genty. I'm totally comfortable with that. Give me the guy who 2 years ago with Drake May, he runs for 1,500 yards, gets 15 touchdowns, doesn't fumble the ball. Last year without Drake May and the hot dog vendor playing quarterback, he ran for 1,600 yards, scored 15 touchdowns, and didn't fumble the ball.
Hot dog vendor.
So my issue, Genty is a first-round back. I think Hampton's a first-round back. If I want the big, strong guy who doesn't fumble over the little fat guy who does fumble. Genty looked fat to me at his pro day. He just did.
I sent you the picture, Bob. The guy's carved out of granite. What are you talking about? He's not.
Look, I'm a fat guy. Fat guys recognize fat guys. He's a fat guy. Doesn't mean he's a bad player, Jerome Bettis was a fat guy. I loved him. But I just don't see the fact that he didn't run, and I think he looked slow in those drills. I do. I take Hampton over him all day, every day. Trevion Henderson, you guys have said it all. I mean, yes, the guy is probably, to me, the most polished third back in there. So Bob doesn't mind the fat guy. He just doesn't want him as his first-round draft pick. Damian Martinez is a guy we haven't talked about a lot. He's a guy who I've been on as a 4th-round pick. I think he was really, really good early in his career. He was part of a rotation in Miami. I think he's an every down back. I'll have some backup for that tomorrow at noon from another voice. Yeah, I like Damian Martinez, and if he's a guy who slides in as a big physical back, I like him just a little bit better than Judkins because Martinez was an every down back for 2 of his college years. It's just with Miami, they had so many good running backs. It was just, hey, I'm fitting in. So, and I like Judkins. I wouldn't be upset with him. Dylan Sampson would probably be 6th on my list. I do like his game. It's just a matter of, once you get past really the top 3 or 4 guys, I think you're starting to get into guys who are going to be in splits, which I don't think is a bad thing with Jalen Warren. There are a lot of guys who can fit in a Jalen Warren tandem in this draft, but I'd say those top 4 guys are guys who would be the 70-30 type of split. You start to get down to Judkins and Sampson and guys like Trevor Etienne. I think that's more of a 50-50 split with Jalen.
Greg Holt asked thoughts on Donovan Edwards of Michigan. Inconsistent, was the best player in the field when he was on. I got to be honest, I haven't watched a lot of Donovan Edwards. He tested pretty good. He tested through the roof. I just looked it up. 4.4, 40, 38.5 vertical. All those are high 80s percentiles. You're an Ohio State guy. Have you watched Donovan Edwards more than us?
Oh, yeah. I watched a lot of Donovan Edwards, actually. I think, honestly, if I was going to pick a guy like Donovan Edwards, I'd probably take Jadon Blue out of Texas. Ran a 4.28 at his pro day. Better pass catcher. I think he's a better runner than he probably got credit for because he was in that two-back system at Texas. But like Edwards kind of got bumped out of that role as the starting running back in Michigan too. I mean, Khalil Mullings ended up being the guy who was really the starter and who carried the ball a lot there. So, I mean, I think that kind of tells you a lot. And I know they were more of a power scheme, and he's probably not a great fit as a power runner, but like, I think I would take a guy in the similar body type like Jadon Blue over Donovan Edwards personally.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. 40 time 4.44 for Donovan Edwards, 5'11", 205 pounds. It says, the scouting report here on him. Let's see.
That's a deep running back class.
Shows
So many good
excellent
players.
burst and acceleration, making him a threat to break away at any play. I like to hear that. Effective in both the run and pass game, providing versatility to any offense. Possesses good size and strength. So, sounds good.
Yeah, but again, he couldn't even start at Michigan.
Well, I was going to say,
Michigan team.
And this is, what I'm going off of. I mean, he's ranked he's on the third page here. I had to look for him to find him. So,
yeah,
that kind of tells you
something. He's a 7th round guy, or maybe a guy who doesn't even get drafted, to be honest with you.
Undrafted free agent, yeah. What do you guys think of Scadaboo? It worries me running backs that depend so much on physicality going to the next level. I know he's more than that. He's got some movement to him, but I don't know if I would go that route if I was a Steelers.
I just the 4.65 40 man.
Yeah.
I
mean, he was awesome in that Texas play. I mean, he was ridiculous for them, but those kind of guys scare me.
I'm not taking him the first round. I can do that.
No, I don't think he's a first round guy at all.
Somebody will take a chance, maybe late in the draft, but I mean, I can't even see him as a top really 15 running back in this class.
I think he's mocked in the 3rd round in a lot of sites.
Yeah,
right now.
Yeah, I want to say
PFF.
I think I've seen him go into 3rd or 4th in mocks. Yeah, it sounds about right.
I think PFF had him in the top 5 running backs on their ranking.
Top 5.
I don't know if you guys know that guy Tampa Bay Trade that does the evaluation for them. He's high on Scadaboo. I don't see it, man.
Yeah,
I can't do that. Him. The Chargers should take him and pair him with Najee as a change of
the
pace.
slowest running back tandem in the league.
And slower.
Make Najee look fast. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Speaking of fast, have we seen the Tyreek Hill rumors starting to swirl again? Any interest in that trade for Tyreek Hill? I got a soft spot for Tyreek Hill.
To group with DK and George?
Yeah, throw him in a slot. Well. Let's go. Stop fucking around and have a wide receiver core here.
I mean, it would be Aaron Rodgers, Tyreek Hill. I mean, come on. That would be awesome. But
I'm in fantasy land here, but
yeah, a little bit.
You'd have to give up a first, I think, to get.
Oh, I don't think he gets a first now. You think he gets a first?
He's like 30, right?
Yeah.
Wait a second.
Last year of contract too.
Or do you trade Pickens for him and we'll say like a 4th or 5th?
I don't think Miami would do it.
Is that too high? I'm trying to gauge the return. We're trading a young.
I would do GP Tyreek at a pick swap somewhere.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like a late pick swap. I wouldn't even give them anything else.
Day 3.
If you're going to lose George Pickens after the season anyway.
Day 3 plus Pickens, I think.
And you want to, if you're all in for the 2025 season,
you're immediately paying Cincinnati money for wide receivers.
Money is no object, Bob. I want to see offense.
Money is no object.
Full stop.
Yeah, the guy who doesn't want to pay Aaron Rodgers.
I was about to say, this is the same guy that doesn't want to pay $40 million to Rodgers. That's the only guy you can't pay that money to. Everybody else.
Say this again for you guys without paying attention. You're negotiating against yourself with Aaron Rodgers. There's nobody else bidding. So where do we come up with $40 million for a quarterback who no one else is bidding on but the Steelers?
If you want him to play for you, you're gonna pay him what he wants. I know it sucks. This is our reality now. Back in the day, we used to have balls as an organization. We don't got that no more. Okay.
Hold on. Wait a minute. We didn't have balls. We didn't have free agents. We were never in a situation where we went out and signed a big free agent.
That's a good point too.
Have to most of the time.
Good point too.
Yeah. Even our guys who turned into big name free agents like Kevin Green and Ferrier, they weren't top of the market guys as far as when we were negotiating.
No, the Steelers never. They weren't. The Rooneys do not like to spend money. Period. They just don't. The smallest coaching staff in the league. one of the worst facilities in the league. You know, there's plenty of evidence that goes.
Yeah,
Cousins, it all depends on how high a draft pick you want to give up. You want to eat some money, you don't have to give such a you don't have to give such a good draft pick.
Wouldn't Cousins cost 27, 32 million a year if we trade? Maybe more than that, wouldn't he?
It depends.
Well,
It depends on what they negotiate.
Yeah.
If you want Atlanta to eat some of that contract, you're going to have to give a higher draft pick.
One touchdowns, 9 interceptions in his last 5 games.
Yeah,
that's
bad.
You can go ahead and cut him, and we'll pick him up for pennies. How's that?
Dave, you're okay paying him that money, though, right?
It depends. If I'm giving up a 6th-round pick for him, and Aaron Rodgers has left us at the altar, yeah, I guess I am okay paying him that.
Trent, what was that again? You said 1 touchdown to 9
interceptions over, like, I think the last 5 games.
And you want to pay that
Mason
guy
Rudolph's
how much?
Stats the last 5 games of his tenure in Tennessee. It's probably pretty similar.
Well,
2 years, $8 million. This is $27 million.
Why are we picking on Mason? My man, he dealt with some shit out there in Tennessee. Let's give him a break.
Don't forget, he's an older guy coming off an Achilles tear, so it was bound to take him over a year. Look, I don't think Kirk Cousins is the answer.
Longer,
yeah, I was going to say, it took him a while. And he didn't progress. He got worse. That's the thing.
What's he won? 1 playoff game in his career?
Maybe.
1 more than Mike Tomlin has in the last decade?
Well, there you go. 1 more than Mason Rudolph, too.
Let's join them together.
It's bleak down here, guys. It's bleak.
You know, that's a good question. Mason Rudolph or him? Which one would you guys rather? I mean, I know you, Dave. I know you, but
Mason.
I mean, if we're getting 70% of Kirk Cousins, I'm taking Kirk Cousins.
I don't think you're getting 70,
Mason Rudolph
bro. I think you're getting like 55, if that.
I still might go Kirk Cousins. Mason Rudolph's terrible.
He's mid, but that's better than what Kirk Cousins has done lately.
He could get hot.
I'll take the upside.
There could be some wacky trade in the works where Omar is going to surprise everybody and bring somebody in. I
don't know if there's anybody out there. Even Anthony Richardson, you want him? He's available.
I'd rather
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy would be crazy.
It would be awesome it would be awesome to have Brock Purdy versus Kenny Pickett, Steelers versus Browns. I mean, just for that alone, they should do it.
Yeah.
You're talking going from one of the best offensive minds in the league to the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's a steep drop off the cliff, man.
You would have Mr. Irrelevant versus the only 1st-round pick from that draft.
Yeah.
And far and away the best quarterback of that.
Yes.
Yes. There's no arguing that.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we talked about this too. If Kenny Pickett landed in San Francisco, would he have been a little bit better?
A little bit better? I think he'd be a little better. Yeah, absolutely.
He probably would have been a lot better.
I think that's fair. Not a lot.
I'm no Kenny Pickett fan.
I don't know about a lot, but I think he'd be a little better. Yeah.
Well, we'll see. I mean, Stefanski is probably the right kind of coordinator. He's not, who knows what the fuck happened with Deshaun Watson, but he did a really good job with Baker Mayfield. If
we know what happened to Deshaun Watson, the massage parlors happened to Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, my man.
Right.
My man learned a new hobby.
Would it shock anybody if Kenny Pickett had just like a mid to slightly above average season?
I could see that. I could see that. Sure.
You make a good point.
You surround him with the right pieces, right coach.
I don't know, though.
Sure.
I'd rather not see that.
I mean,
just
look, I'll say this. He did have some games where he did well for us. I will say that. The Raiders game, the Baltimore game where they came back, those kind of games, yeah. But
I can't believe
it just wasn't good enough.
Pickett.
Well,
I'm just
trying to be
we
fair
talked
to
about
kid.
this.
He had a couple games where
he had the historically worst offensive coordinator in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
An offense for him.
Yeah.
So there's that.
He's better than Jackson Dart.
I couldn't resist. The first Pro Bowl he goes to, I am going to be insufferable. I'm telling you right now. You guys want to take a sick day that day? I'll do the podcast by myself.
11 years from now, when he gets in, like what was the kid? What's the kid from who backed up Jackson, who went to Miami and sucked? The kid he got him into the playoffs.
Oh, Trent
Tyler Huntley, Snoop
or
Huntley.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think honestly, Jackson Dart's best spot is if he gets to the Saints. If he gets drafted by the Saints, that's where he needs to be. That offense will fit what he does better than probably anybody else in the league.
Oh, and he'll have the guy from the 49ers there that I wanted us to get, the offensive coordinator. I forget his name.
I think LA would be a good spot for him to land too. Maybe Miami behind.
I think
for a couple
Miami
of
could
seasons,
be
right?
a really good spot because McDaniel is really, really good
Yeah.
at drawing up,
Yeah. No, I
especially
agree.
if Tyreek Hill doesn't leave.
Yeah, but they still got weapons there.
Yeah.
But
Oh, they got Waddle. Yeah. And didn't Jonnu Smith resign there too?
yeah,
I
he's
think
still
so.
there too.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we've gone kind of long. Anything else before we get out of here? Any last thoughts?
On Thursday, are we gonna be? Is Uncle Aaron Watch officially over?
God, I
say
hope so.
Yes.
God, I hope so. Now we have Zach Smith on Thursday, so he can help us sort through the Aaron stuff if he signed, and if not, we'll talk about. Rappaport will have something, or somebody will have something.
I'm sure there'll be something.
They always do.
No.
Trent, thanks for joining us. We had a great time. I hope you did too.
Yep. Appreciate you guys having me again. Thank you.
Great guest. Guys, subscribe to the podcast like we talk about every week. We've got Alan Saunders next Thursday. We'll be on Thursday with Zach Smith. More draft stuff as always. Thanks for listening to Steelers Sanctuary Podcast, guys. Thanks again, Trent.
Thank you.
Don't forget, mock draft tomorrow and
I
noon
forgot.
tomorrow while you're eating your lunch. We've got an interview with Tony Pauline. A lot of great draft.
A lot of great
nuggets.
stuff on it,
Definitely
too.
watch it.
Well, he's not weird or anything, is he?
No. No, he's totally normal. I think you should be working at the snack bar.
You better relax, Bob.
I mean, normal for us.
All right, let's go.
Now you've had enough.
Okay. Crazy guy. I'm gonna go home now.